Hi, I'm Paul Johnston from The Shed Shop, and I'd like to share with you 5 critical factors when choosing the correct height for your new shed. Factor number 1, what is your height and how are you going to fit comfortably inside your shed? We offer sheds that are shorter, sheds that are taller. Behind me is one of our shorter models. It's our Mini Classic. I'm 5'8", and I'm just going to go step into the doorway and you'll see how I fit. I'm now inside our Mini Classic, and you can see that I fit again comfortably here. The wall is a little over 6 feet, so plenty of headroom, but perhaps a taller person might want something a little taller. By contrast, I'm standing inside our traditional Classic. This building is 8 inches taller than our Mini Classic, so you can see a lot more headroom as I stand in the doorway. One of our very popular models is our Fence Hugger, but just be aware it's short. It's 5'6" on the door opening, so if I'm not careful, I would need to watch my head going in and out. The second critical factor in choosing the correct height for your new shed has to do with your space needs. For example, are you thinking, man, I've got a lot of stuff. I need as much space as possible. That would probably lend itself to a taller building. A lot of people think, I'm going to get one shed. I don't want to get another one. So let me get as much shed as I can so that I'll have as much space as I can. Again, that would lend itself towards choosing one of the taller buildings. However, as we'll talk about in a minute, there are some good reasons to pick a shorter shed. And so if your space needs are not as great, you don't anticipate a lot of long-term need for a whole bunch of storage, then that might lend itself to a shorter shed. The third critical factor in choosing the correct height for your new shed has to do with city codes. And what I'm going to do here is not, go into all the codes, but just rather make you aware that there are city codes that have to do with the height of your shed, where you place it in relation to your property lines. Anyway, we will provide you with that information. We don't know everything about every city and every yard, but we can give you some general guidelines about what the height restrictions would be in your neighborhood. The fourth critical factor in choosing the correct height for your new shed is what I call the good neighbor rule. People around you are going to see your shed over the fence in most cases, and if you build a big huge shed that's going to be an eyesore in the neighborhood, that might be something you'd want to consider before you do that. It's not the only factor to consider, but I just share it with you as a factor to keep in mind. How is this going to look in the neighborhood? The fifth and final factor in choosing the correct height for your new shed is aesthetics. How is it going to look in your yard? If you live in the Bay Area, our property values are high. We wouldn't want to do anything that would ruin or detract from the aesthetics of our yard. And so if you have a large yard, a big piece of property, a taller shed is going to be less significant than if you had a smaller yard, smaller property. A large shed might start to loom large and maybe not look as proportional. So keep this in mind. How is it going to look from my family room window when I'm standing at my kitchen looking out? What's it going to look like? Just general aesthetics. It's a good idea to keep that in mind when you're choosing the correct height for your shed. The happiest customers that are most satisfied are those that have taken the time, especially on this height issue, to consider and think about what is the right height. And we understand this. We've been in the business 25 years. We've been in all sorts of backyards and properties. We've seen what works, what doesn't work. We've had unhappy customers, very happy customers. And so, we're here to help. And let me just share a few things that we can do to help you make this height decision. As far as I'm aware, we offer more heights than any shed company around. We have standard heights that are probably in 5 different levels, from short to tall and in between. And even after that, if none of those work for you, we can often customize a height. We have all of our models on display, the different heights. You can step inside, walk through the doorway, get a feel for it, take a look at it. How does this look visually? There's no substitute for this. A lot of people want to just look at photos, and our website is very helpful with photos. But to actually come and see them in person is critical. You cannot get the right height feel, the perspective, just by looking at the photos. So coming into the showroom is very helpful for that. The last way in which we help you make the height decision is by doing an on-site consultation. If you live in our local service area, and if you visited our showroom, we are available to come on-site and meet with you and help you make these choices. So that's it. Those are the 5 factors in considering the correct height for your new shed. User fit, how are you going to fit in the shed? What are your space needs? What are city codes to consider? The good neighbor rule. And finally, aesthetics. How is it going to look in your yard?
More great space for your place at Shed Shop.